All right. Welcome everyone to the October Local League Capacity Building Workshop. We are, barreling towards Election Day, so I know that we have a small group for good reason tonight. Everyone else is busy and working towards the election, but this will be recorded. I will also be sending my slides after. So don't worry about having to write down every single thing, especially some of the examples that I share. You'll have access to everything at the end. So we're here tonight to talk about Giving Tuesday. So Giving Tuesday is an annual day of giving. This year it's on Tuesday, November 28th. And it's a day of giving that was started to kick off the holiday giving season. For many nonprofits, it's the start of year-end campaigns, of year-end giving. And it was really a reaction to all of the hyper consumerism that, especially in the United States, we have around Black Friday, around Cyber Monday. Giving Tuesday follows all of that with the idea that people are spending anyway on Amazon and Black Friday gifts at Best Buy, and why not give some support to nonprofits that you value. So every year, awareness of the Giving Tuesday campaign continues to grow. It's grown in popularity, it's grown in awareness. So if your leagues were to launch a Giving Tuesday effort, which I hope that you all are inspired to do, know that most people will be pretty familiar with this day and this concept. And I think one thing that I really value about Giving Tuesday is that it's a movement. It's a day that people are accustomed to giving on to nonprofits that they care about. So why not try? Why not take advantage of the day to see if you can get maybe a few donations, maybe a few memberships for your league. So we'll start now with the basics, an overview. So while so the Giving Tuesday concept is super simple. It's as I said, a response to Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and then Giving Tuesday follows after that. And as I said, many nonprofits, including the State League, use this opportunity to kick off our year-end giving campaigns. So we start with Giving Tuesday, and then we'll do year-end appeals via email, social media, and mailers. And even if your league is not prepared to do a year-end appeal, I still highly encourage you to get busy and make a plan ahead of November 29th. For general information about this day, you can always visit givingtuesday.org, it's now an international phenomenon, not just a United States day. And it was started back in 2012. So this is actually the 10th anniversary of the day. And as I said, it's a global day to give back. So if you're interested in starting a Giving Tuesday campaign, just a few kind of simple preparative steps can get you ready for success. The biggest thing you can do on Giving Tuesday is to highlight the mission and successes that your league has had throughout the year. So people are looking to give. If they come across your page, what are some of the things that you want to highlight to someone, whether they're a new donor or someone that's already, on your email list? So you can think about amazing things that have happened to your league during the year. For example, if you hosted community events, developed new partnerships, maybe you gained new members like the Westmoreland League. What stories do you want to tell? Is there a particular thing that happened this year that really stands out that you can see wanting to share? So I think about, for example, the Pittsburgh League this year has developed this really robust high school civic engagement program. And I can see them sharing about their work in high schools this year as part of a Giving Tuesday appeal. The next, think about maybe some of the resources that you have on hand. So pictures and videos that you already have from events that you hosted, perhaps. Any kind of data that you can say. So maybe sharing with supporters how many voters that you that you registered, how many postcards you mailed, and if there were any special moments that you want to acknowledge. So personally, for our Giving Tuesday campaign at the State League, I'm just thinking about how crazy this election cycle was and how we as an organization were able to respond to that challenge, to cut through the noise of all the partisanship and to say, here's the fact-based information that we were able to provide to voters. So as a starting point for developing a campaign, just jot some of this down or have a quick brainstorming session with your board. It doesn't need to be anything hyper detailed, but it's just really answering the question, what do we want to share?
So
The next, oh, yeah, go ahead.
in one of your special moments that's been very special to us is your pass-through grants.
Yeah,
That's been very enabling for us. So
that's a great, yeah, a really great example, and actually something that we've been sharing with our funders already. So, you know, your investment didn't just go to the state league, but it also went to our grassroots network on the ground. So that's a really great example. So the next thing that you'll want to do once you, decide what are the key things that we want to share as part of an appeal, you want to think about setting some Giving Tuesday goals. So when Giving Tuesday is over, what does your league hope to have accomplished? And if you've never done this before, you can kind of think of it as a grand experiment. You're not going to necessarily lose out from trying new things. So you can just think about some benchmarks that you want to measure. So if this is your first Giving Tuesday, you could start with something really simple, like I want to raise $2,000 for my league and I want to attract 5 potential new members. You can definitely start small, whether that's new members, new donors, or even something as simple as, I want our Facebook post to get 100 impressions, meaning 100 people saw it. So money is not the only thing that you can really measure as part of Giving Tuesday. And from there, you'll decide your activities, like how are you going to meet the goals that you established? What are the metrics you want to have for success? So here's, some examples of activities you could undertake as part of your campaign. So you could send a couple emails, you could share some social media posts, you could do a mail appeal letter. You could even have volunteers make phone calls, call around to your network and say, it's Giving Tuesday and we're hoping to reach people on this special day. Will you consider a small donation to our league? And from there, take inventory of the resources you have. So resources can certainly include manpower, woman power. It's your volunteer network, it's your members, it's partners that you have. It's the tangible things, it's the technology that you have. So the list of subscribers you have to your emails, the email tool itself, and your social media accounts are what I consider, the inventory of things that you'll need to launch a successful Giving Tuesday campaign. And from there, think about the messaging that you want to relay as part of this campaign. Again, this doesn't have to be anything overly complicated, but think about who is the persona of your typical donor or member. Is it a woman who's concerned about her reproductive rights? Is it a member who's been a longtime donor to the league and has recently, expressed concern about the state of our democracy? Take some time to sketch out this person, and then use that information to find the intersections between people that already give to your league and maybe who would also be interested based on who that person is. And then think about what drives your base of supporters, of members. That's going to be different for every league. I know, for example, here in Philly, people are really concerned about climate change and abortion justice. It's not going to be necessarily the same set of concerns as, say, Bucks County or Westmoreland. You know your members, you know your donors best. So think about what they're concerned about. And from there, develop your Giving Tuesday campaign message. So, for example, the League of Women Voters of Bucks County is seeking support of our voter education work this Giving Tuesday at a time when Pennsylvania democracy needs us the most. So it can be simple. It can draw from messaging that we already have. And always rely on, the state league website, the state league social media to help you develop what your message is. And finally, here's all the different kinds of channels you could potentially use to promote your Giving Tuesday campaign. I think everyone should at least send an email. I think everyone should at least add it to their newsletter, and then your website as well. On the State League website, we can build what's called a light box, and I'm happy to show anyone who wants to know how to make that, how to do it. But essentially, it's a pop-up button that appears on your website on Giving Tuesday that leads people right to your giving page. The donation form. So is there a simple, clear way to make a donation to your league that's already on your website? And of course, social media. Social media costs us no money. It doesn't take a lot of time to make a post on those channels. And then, there's all kinds of creative ways you can also consider promoting Giving Tuesday. It can be a paid social media ad. It can be an ad in your newspaper. It can be a partner that you work in coalition with, sharing your resources and your page on Giving Tuesday. Maybe you want to host an event. There's a lot going on. All different leagues have different types of capacity, but these are just some examples of the channels that you could use. So I want to talk a little bit about developing a calendar for Giving Tuesday. So we're well over a month out from Giving Tuesday, and I would suggest starting as far back as a month, maybe just a couple weeks ahead, maybe even a week before. It depends on the capacity, again, that you have. But here's a sample example of a Giving Tuesday campaign that you could potentially have. A month out would be a mailer that goes out to your donor list. 3 and 2 weeks away, you're posting on social media about Giving Tuesday, how you're excited about it, how there's a direct link to give to your page. 1 week away, you do an email and a social post. The day before, a social post, and the day of, you do another email and a couple of social media posts over the course of the day. This may seem like a lot. And again, you know your audience best, but know that all other nonprofits are also doing this on this day and leading up. So you're not going to be considered, I don't know, I feel like the first thing people might think is, oh, maybe this is too intrusive, too cumbersome on my network. Maybe they'll be annoyed by this. Just know that everyone else is doing this too, and you're taking advantage of the day. And finally, I'd like to just share some quick tips for success. So including a link to donate in every single appeal that you make, whether it's as a social media post, in an email, or in a letter, is key. Make the ask and then make it easy to give right away. So if people are having to click through multiple options, it's going to deter people from giving. So make the ask very simple. And then don't hide the ask until the end of your email appeal. And I'll give you an example of that in a couple of slides, but make sure you ask multiple times, especially throughout an email, to make the donation. So donate here buttons are a great example of that. They kind of break up the text of paragraphs when you're explaining, why you're asking for the appeal that day. If you don't have an online giving platform in your website currently, and we can definitely get into, what Bucks does, what Westmoreland does right now. Setting up PayPal is pretty simple. You can also use your LWVUS education fund, which are, tax deductible donations. So we can talk more about that at the end, what that looks like. And my last tip is to consider getting a matching gift from a supporter who already funds your work or has given before. So for example, last year we had 2 State League donors say, I'll give you $1,000. So as part of that, we were able to tell our supporters, hey, if we reach $2,000 in contributions today, your match will be doubled. And it's just one of those things that, at the end of the day, that donor was going to give to you anyway, but it's this visual cue to your supporters, to potential donors, that they're really a part of something. And it's just been proven to be one of those things that makes people more likely to give if you have a matching gift. So here's some sample media posts that I pulled for you. These are from 2020. I kind of updated them a little bit. You're welcome to straight up use them, steal them. It's about making a clear, simple ask. These are formatted for Facebook and Twitter. They're not long, and they have a direct link to give. And finally, I wanted to share a sample email blast with you all, which again, you are welcome to take, to steal. So I wanted to show you a couple of things about this. This is not what the actual email will look like. This is just copying and pasting. But you'll see I've linked the opportunity to donate multiple times throughout the email. And this is actually a button that we've created too. So in your constant contact, in whatever email platform you have the opportunity to make buttons that are just a link to click. And I think that visually is a really nice cue. So this is not a long email. It says explicitly, why we're doing this. It talks about why 2020 was an unprecedented year. I would say just change that to 2022 because it's still true. It talks a little bit about the league. And again, it gives you the option to donate at the very end. So if all you do is send one email and make 3 social media posts using just this is a strong enough appeal if it's your first time. And then after Giving Tuesday, what happens? So absolutely send acknowledgement emails or acknowledgement letters for every gift that you give. But especially do that after Giving Tuesday if you get, potentially a new donor. It's a really nice touch point. And then think about how you'll engage those folks who are potentially new donors after the day. Is there a separate email that goes out to them, inviting them to become a member? Are you tagging them on social media, thanking them for their contribution? Are you adding them to your email list? And then just take some time to think about what worked and what didn't with your appeal so that you can have really solid notes and a solid foundation for the following year. And finally, I would love to hear how this goes. So if you do actually run a campaign of any kind, please reach out to me and the State League because we absolutely want to hear what worked for you. So do you have any questions? I know I ran through that pretty quickly.
I do have a question. So we were told recently, when we were discussing getting lapsed members to rejoin, we were told that people aren't opening emails, but text messages might have a higher percentage of opening. Is there any, do you have any data on that? Is maybe a text messaging campaign something that should be incorporated?
I think that's a great idea, especially because we have access to Outreach Circle, which is the National League's peer-to-peer texting tool. So it basically allows you to text folks in your network from within the Outreach Circle platform so that your board, for example, aren't using their personal cell phones to text members, which is kind of a nice way to sort of remove the personal nature out of it.
Okay.
So I would definitely consider, starting an Outreach Circle account and campaign to try that out. But if not, just texting, having your board send texts or do phone calls is that really nice personal appeal, especially for the Westmoreland League, because you're a smaller group, right? Your network is probably your 50 members plus maybe a couple of dozen more of folks that just sign up for your email. So it would be fairly straightforward to do that additional follow-up text or phone call.
Okay. And the Outreach Circle, is there a fee for that? If we set up an account on that, we could get we have emails, or phone numbers for our members.
Yeah.
But is there a cost?
There's costs associated with certain parts of it, but signing up to get an account, adding your current member contact information, there's no fee associated with it. Where it gets to be more of a cost is when you're bringing in outside data to the platform. So for example, we just did a piloting text bank program through Outreach Circle that pulled information from the Pennsylvania voter file. So we were texting, more people that we didn't necessarily know. So that was a cost. But for leagues to just start an account and use it for people whose contact information they already have, there's no cost associated with that.
Okay. Well, that would be interesting.
Yeah. Has anyone ever done a Giving Tuesday appeal, whether for, Joan, have you done it with your league or have you done it for a different nonprofit? Oh, sorry, you're muted, Joan.
We've not ever done it. And I'm pretty sure we won't do it this November because of the timing. With the election, I think everybody's like getting exhausted. And there's been so much request for money from all the candidates. We will probably wait and do it next year.
I totally hear that. Still though, I would urge you to think about maybe doing just one email on Giving Tuesday, just a couple social media posts leading up to it. Because yes, people are exhausted, but the league is not a political campaign. You know, the league is not a candidate. We don't represent parties. We're doing good government work. And I think to say, whew, the election is over. Look at all the amazing things that we did. You know, your contribution ensures that, you know, our civic democracy infrastructure continues to be bolstered. And as I said, like everyone does it, so why not just try? But you know, that's up to your board. But I would just say, you know, think about it. It doesn't have to be like a huge multifaceted campaign. It doesn't have to be a weeks out effort.
Okay.
Yeah,
So I have another question, and
please, yeah. Floor is
I'll apologize in advance if it comes off as being tactless, because I don't know how to phrase it. But you have a nice campaign laid out starting 4 weeks ahead of time with an email, numerous emails. I'm assuming the state is going to follow that schedule. I'm assuming LWV US is going to follow something like that. I'm afraid that our members are going to be confused by the flurry of Giving Tuesday appeals. And I'm not sure they're going to be able to parse between US, PA, and the local league. Any ideas?
Yeah, no, that's not tactless at all. I think that makes perfect sense. And it's something that I've flagged to national multiple times. Like, can you give us advance notice if you're going to send an appeal email?
Right.
Because again, yeah, we don't want our members to be confused. So I think the way that to me, there's such a clear distinction is using our social media channels, which is primarily where Giving Tuesday happens. So there's a very clear distinction between a Westmoreland Facebook ask and a PA Facebook ask. And you know, I'm like for our campaign this year, we're just going to do one email the day before or the day of. So your members are not going to get hit with like 3 to 4 emails from the state at least. But what I can do is double check with national to make sure to at least know when their schedule is. It's a really good flag.
Okay. Yeah, that would be helpful for us.
Yeah. Let me just make a note. Perfect. I'm curious if any of the three of you have, you know, contributed to a Giving Tuesday campaign before. Have you, like, what was sort of appealing to you about it, or what drew you to it? Or was it an organization that you like already support and you're like, okay, I'll throw you $20?
I don't recall ever having donated, actually. I was completely unfamiliar with the concept.
Oh, cool.
So I don't know why. I just,
No.
you know, haven't.
I think I'm not sure if I've donated on or not, but it's reminded me, it's like, okay, time to do my end of year donations.
Yeah.
So it's a good reminder.
It is.
I've actually done it on that Tuesday to try to accommodate matching funds for the organizations. Yeah. So that's been a deadline for that. Yeah.
Definitely.
I'm surprised it's 10 years old though. Yay.
I know, it's really cool. Yeah. The other thing I wanted to ask is, so Bucks, I know, has a donate button set up on your website already, right? Great.
Yeah, yes.
And Westmoreland, do you have your donate button set up? Okay, great. Because, you know, we have some leagues where they still don't even have like a PayPal button set up. So for that, it's a little bit more challenging to push like a quick turnaround for a gift if they have to, you know, get out their checkbook, mail a check. It's, but you know, for some leagues, that's how they're doing it. So, Joan, I'm curious just about like your website fundraising in general, because I know that unlike a lot of leagues, you primarily focus on giving, right?
On our website?
Well, in general, like your board role is more fundraising, correct?
Yeah, more or less. I'm the development chair, and actually what we did just recently with the election this year was we approached some businesses in the area. We picked a dozen to approach of businesses in the community, and we publish with a local newspaper that covers our whole county, a voter's guide,
Mhm.
a printed written voter's guide. You probably do also. I think other leagues do.
No, we're not there yet.
Okay, it's been recognized for many, many, many years here in Bucks County as something that people really look at and look forward to receiving. But we never really raised funds towards that. We were fortunate that the newspaper picked up most of the cost. We did the work and the interviews and provided all the information. But we wanted to make sure that that continues to happen because of the newspaper business, and to be able to have it as an online and a printed material. So we did go out into the community, and we had pretty good success. We approached 12 people and 8 responded positively, and the ads came out really beautifully. They didn't, we were afraid it was going to look a little tacky, but it didn't. It came out really nicely. And some of the businesses were women owned, which was also nice. And we have the legal association. All the lawyers in Bucks County belong to an organization. They have a separate branch, which is the Women in Law. And they took out a great big half-page ad. So it was kind of a nice thing when you flip through it saying, oh, wow, look, these people all do support the league. So that was just a little different thing we did for raising some funds. Didn't really go into our coffers, but it keeps us working with a newspaper so that they can continue to do the printing of it for us.
Right. Well, that's a great idea. And that could be a partnership for so many things, not just voters guides. Down the road.
Yeah. I think it's difficult to raise money as a league because I think when you don't really make a product, it's hard. I mean, people understand, I think, what the league does most of the time. They understand, but I think that if you're going to ask for money, you have to have something substantial to show. Becky, you're nodding your head too. It's kind of a hard ask, I think. What do you think, Meg? What do other leagues do?
So I think that the league actually does have a lot to show. And, when I was talking about what are like the data points that you want to share, that's to me is the product. So for me, the number one product that I always talk about is Vote 411, because that's a tool that we use with measurable impact that reaches a certain number of voters a year.
Yes.
And, this year specifically, the local leagues didn't update Vote 411, but next year it'll be you all who take the time to contact the candidates to update, to do the chasing. And that to me is the crown jewel of the league. And it's a clear example of the product that we provide. And then events and public education events are a product. They're a service that you offer to people, the number of events that you host, and then just civic engagement numbers. So how many people did you register to vote? How many high schools did you visit to provide, nonpartisan voter information? Like these are all, while they're not products, they're services, and they're the impact that we have. And I think, especially in election years, another thing that we provide is candidate forums. It's the voter's guide. And even if there's not clear numbers associated with them, like even if you're not sure, oh, we had a candidate forum and we don't know how many people were there. The fact that you even hosted that and gave that to your community is an example of, hyper local activity that your league provided, not the state league, not national league, like your league. So I've been so impressed with all the stuff, all the activities that leagues have done, especially this election cycle, which is why I think when Giving Tuesday come around, we can all say, look at all the work that we did.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
Yeah.
It was difficult getting any kind of forums together this year. There wasn't a lot of cooperation. I'm sure you all saw it.
Don't I know it?
Yeah.
Do you
But
have
sorry, Jackie. But for Joan, for example, for you, like a metric you could have is we published this many printed voter guides in this many newspapers that reach this many
That's true.
households.
Yeah.
That's
Because it goes out
huge.
to like almost 100,000 people, the paper.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you could say, like this election cycle, we reached 100,000 people with our voters guide. That's huge. That's really big. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Go ahead, Becky.
So I was wondering, do you have any metrics around Vote 411? Do you know how many hits in Pennsylvania or by county?
We do have them by county. It's obviously not perfect data. But I know, for example, in 2020, we had around 200,000 people come to our site to use it.
Great.
And you are able to parse that out by where where folks are living. So the 2021 data, I don't recall it being like crazy impressive, but for 2022, I know that it's going to be like, there's going to be really good metrics to come with that. And I'm happy to share that out to you when we get that data, like this many people were from Westmoreland. So you can feel like, you know, you were
Yeah.
contributing to that regional impact.
Yeah, so do you think you'd have those numbers by Giving Tuesday?
So for 2022, we won't, just because it's a calendar year.
Yeah, okay.
But for 2021, I can see what I have from Westmoreland because you were operating in that at that point.
We were handing out information. We have little takeaways of Vote 411 with the QR codes, and
Yeah.
that, to be honest, that's the at our registration events, that's the biggest interest we've gotten, and it's our best come on to people, you know, so you
Right.
know what's on your ballot. Yeah.
Love that. All right, I'm just making a note. I'll do the same thing for you for Bucks.
Yeah, that'd be great. We put a lot of signs out the same this year too for Vote 411.
Yeah.
A lot of them got snitched, you know, but we put them up.
Oh,
'cause
no.
Okay, well, and we got something published in the newspapers about Vote 411.
Yeah.
So,
Great.
so hopefully, actually, it'd be really neat to see 2021 and then 2022 to
Yeah.
see if we've done a better
Looks
job
good.
of getting people aware of it.
Yeah. The other, you know, in terms of tracking your Vote 411, you should specifically, a really simple thing to do is to create a QR code that goes to Vote
Yes.
411. And using that QR code, you can actually track how many people went to Vote 411 via your link that you created with your QR code. So it's a really nice tracking measure. If you make your own QR code on like a QR, there's so many different free websites to make them on. Like if you just Google make a QR code, it'll come up. And from there, you know, that can be your link that you use throughout an election cycle to track all the visitors that you personally sent to Vote 411.
Right.
Well, that's interesting.
I know QR codes are the greatest.
Yeah, I'll have to ask Pam where our QR code we're using came from.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think you put them on the postcards, Meg, didn't you? Didn't the state
did.
provide the postcards that we just sent out?
We
And that
did.
has a QR code on it, so that would filter back to the state.
It
Right.
would,
Yeah, okay.
it would, which I'm really excited to see that, see that go out.
They were nice cards. They were very nice
Thanks.
cards.
Thanks. Yeah, I think they're getting better every year. But yeah, we'll definitely keep doing that project because that's really fun. And that's again an example of like, I know how many state postcards I sent to local leagues, and that's another metric that I can use to measure our statewide impact.
Okay, good.
Great. Well, is there, you know, we kind of tackled Giving Tuesday specifically, but is there any other like general fundraising questions you all have during this time? You know, Joan, I think you specifically have such interesting experience to share, being the development chair of a local league. I don't think there's any other development chairs except for maybe Pittsburgh. Yeah.
It's not an easy job, though.
Yeah.
I don't find it to be an easy job, you know.
Yeah.
But I have a really good committee, so that's great, you know, and that makes a huge difference if you can split things up with some really strong women, you know.
And what other development activities do you do during the year? Like, do you do a year-end appeal mailer or
Do
what
a
other?
year-end appeal at yes, and that goes out. I think that last year we sent it out the end of November instead of December.
Yeah.
And that proved to be very beneficial.
Yeah.
And we also rely on, most of our funding comes in, of course, from our membership dues.
Mhm.
And we do an additional plea with your membership dues. I think, I'm not quite sure how to say that, but you know, we
An
word
appeal.
an extra appeal, an extra
Yeah.
donation, and that has worked very well. You know, if people are writing a check for 70, oftentimes they'll send one for 100.
Yeah.
You know,
A lot of
Do you
a lot
send
of
your-
leagues have success with that.
Do you send your end of year appeals by paper, mail, US mail?
yeah, you know, there's talk about changing that, but we have done it by paper. And last year, instead of doing it in a letter form, we actually went to like an invitation card size mailer. So it went out in a different size envelope, which kind of gets a little more attention, you know, when I think when people get their mail, so that it,
Mhm.
in receiving it, it looked more like an invitation. And then we just printed on a card instead of doing the letter, which explained all the things that we did and all of our accomplishments. And we did well. We received almost an identical amount of money. So I don't know, you try different things to get people's attention.
Mhm.
And it's the end of the year. We all have a stack, right? I mean, it's like you have the big stack. So there's a lot of competition for the donations.
There's a lot of competition, but also it means that people are in the giving spirit. So why
Yes, they
not?
are.
You know, why not? It's not out of the ordinary to do an
Yeah.
appeal letter, to do a campaign like this around this time. You know,
But most everyone does it at the end of the year, don't they, Meg? Mostly.
yeah,
Yeah.
mostly. I think there are certainly exceptions. So we tend to see big surges if there's crazy news that happens,
Oh.
like with Roe.
Yes.
You know, we get a surge in donations, but
Yeah.
year end typically is when we see our biggest push.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Becky and Kristen, is this like super overwhelming or does this seem doable?
Seems doable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, there's some really good ideas here, so.
Yeah, there are.
Good.
We
Well, I
haven't
just
really
like-
done any fundraising other than
Right.
put a jar out at events. So
Yeah, well, we still do that too. There's a basket at every event, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do a jar and do a QR code to your donate page too on a little stand. That is,
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the move.
that's a good tip.
Well, yeah,
QR
our
code.
QR code goes to our webpage, not to the donate, but.
yeah. So you can have a separate one that just says give, donate or give and, you know,
Yeah.
one stop, one click, one point and click. That's the way I think, you know, it's
Easy.
giving is going to be going. But I will say that as much as we love QR codes and social media and online giving, year-end appeals still is, you know, nationally the #1 way for nonprofits to make money from individuals. You know, mailers really are the most effective way because unlike an email, it sits on your table or it sits in your hallway and you're reminded several times you want to mail a check, where it's so easy to kind of see a social media post or an email and mark it on red and you never do it again. So yeah, if you can swing a mailer at Westmoreland, I would suggest doing.
Good luck, ladies.
Yeah. So
Thank
again, you
you.
know, let me know how it goes. I'm rooting for you all, and I don't want you to be deterred by being, you know, a small shop or you know, feeling like there's so much going on. Like I just think try to take advantage of this time of year, even if it's just you get an extra $1,000 when you thought you wouldn't. So think about it like that. Great. Okay. Well, I
all
am
right,
so glad.
thanks.
Of
Yeah.
course, I'm so glad to see you all. I can't believe you joined. You're probably so tired. But yeah, have a great election day, and I will send a follow-up email with all of this information included.
Thank you very much.
All right, thanks
Thanks.
Nice to
everyone.
meet you. Bye-bye.
Nice to meet you.
Bye.